ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to give the presentation today. After the very interesting presentation by Mr. Chen and Mr. Wong, my presentation in the coming part will be focused on the credit risk management for the South American markets. I will first give you some background of the Hong Kong Export Credit Insurance Corporation, and then I will give you some statistics about the Hong Kong exports to South American markets and also our insured business to these markets. And then I will share some of the major risks that we have to pay attention when we trade with the South American countries' buyers. And I will also share some of the tools that you can use to mitigate the risk when you trade with South American buyers. Firstly, I would like to introduce some of the basic features of our corporation. We are established by the Hong Kong government in 1966. And we are a statutory body, and the Hong Kong government has guarantee to our contingent liability up to 30 billion Hong Kong dollar. We are a financially self-sufficient corporation, and when a Hong Kong exporter trade with overseas buyers on credit terms, then our corporation can provide export credit insurance protections against the non-payment risks arising from political events or the buyer's default, insolvency, or even if the buyer fails to take delivery of the goods, we can also cover the non-payment risks. Here, the pie chart shows the insured business by our corporation. Broken down by markets. The top 5 are US, UK, mainland China, Germany, and Switzerland. And this is the insured business breakdown by product. The top 5 are clothing, electronics, toys, metallic products, electrical appliance. And this is the Hong Kong exports to Latin America as a whole, not just the part insured by our corporation. This is the total Hong Kong exports to Latin America. You can see that the general trend is upward in the past 6 years, except 1 year in 2009, which is affected by the global financial crisis. And this is the same as the last bar chart, but it is broken down by the products. The trend is also the same, but you can see that the top 5 products are telecommunications, electrical appliances, office machines, optical goods, and clothing. For the part that insured by the Hong Kong Export Credit Insurance Corporation, to the South American market, in the year-end March 2011, we have insured a total amount of 406 million Hong Kong dollar, with the top 3 insured export markets, including Brazil, Chile, and Argentina. And the top 3 insured products are chemical products, electronics, and clothing. For the insured business to a South American market, you can see in the first 3 bars, which represent our insured business to South American market in the year, it is quite stable. And in 2009, the amount certainly increased by almost double, which is because a lot of Hong Kong exporters are quite worried about the non-payment risk of the overseas buyers in South American countries. So many of them come to us and seek the non-payment risk protection. And the trend continues to increase in 2010. And in the first 10 months in 2011, it's almost reached the same level for the full year in 2010. This bar chart shows the credit limits issued by our corporation against the South American buyers. You can also see that in the first 3 years, from 2006 to 2008, our credit limit issued is almost within 200 million, but it dramatically increased to 450 million Hong Kong dollars. And Brazil is the largest credit exposure of our corporation. In 2011, you can see that over 50% of our credit limit exposure is issued to Brazilian buyers. About the payment difficulty cases, which means that after we issue the credit limits to some South American buyers, our policyholder has to report it to us whenever their buyers has overdue payment for over 60 days. So this is a summary chart that shows the past 6 years the payment difficulty case reported by our policyholder to us. You can see that Brazil is contribute the most payment difficulty case in the past 6 years, but it doesn't mean that it is a very alarming signal. It's just because our exposure to this market, which is the largest one in South America, so because of our larger exposure, so the payment difficulty case is relatively more than the other countries. And this is also the same bar chart, but it is in terms of dollar amount. Brazil is also the largest part. And in the past 6 years, almost all of the case reported with payment difficulties are due to payment default by some American buyers, and none of them are due to bankruptcy or insolvency, and only one case was related to failure of the buyer to take delivery of the goods. After sharing the statistics, I would like to share with you some of the major risks that will affect the credit risk of the overseas buyers. The first one is political and economic risk, because some of the countries in South America are suffering from unstable and political environment, which will affect the business and profitability of the buyers, which will also impact their credit worthiness. The second one is the management and ownership. We always prefer a buyers with very stable and experienced management, but if you find that the managements change quite frequently, such as the chief financial controller or the CEO change quite frequently, then it is also an alarming signal. And for ownership, because some of the South American buyers have their owner located in other countries, like United States or in Spain or Portugal. So when you trade with the South American buyer on credit terms, you also need to look at their parent company, because some of their parent company are maybe a financially strong listed company in the United States or in Spain, which can provide a very good financial support to the subsidiary in South America. But at the same time, some of them, they have financially weak parents that have suffered from a lost business, or they have liquidity problem. So they will also affect the creditworthiness of the subsidiary in South America. The third risk is the business risk, because every buyers are engaged in business in different kind of industry. Some of them have more sensitivity to the economic cycle, such as jewelry, which is quite sensitive to the economic cycle. And for example, if you are trading with a buyer in trading of construction materials, which is also quite sensitive to the property market. The last one is the financial risk. If you are able to obtain the financial statements of the South American buyers, then you should look at the profit and loss accounts to see the past profit trend and also the sales trend, and see if there is any deterioration in profitability. And the balance sheet is also very important documents that you have to analyze, especially the short-term liquidity. You have to look at the working capital, the operating cash flow, and also the cash balance to ensure that the buyer has sufficient funds to settle the payment to the Hong Kong suppliers. And lastly, the overall debt load of the buyer should also be paid attention, because if they are a highly leveraged company, if their business is suddenly suffering from a downturn, then it may affect their ability to repay the bank loan. So it will cause them to bankrupt or insolvent. There are some warning signals that you have to pay attention to if you trade on credit terms to these overseas buyers, which includes continuous loss, high inventory level, excessive loan, overexpansion, sharp shrink in market share, drop in stock price, delay in submitting the financial statements to their company registry, and as I mentioned before, the frequent change of senior management, aging of the management, and also delay in payment requested by the buyers. And there are some mitigation tools that you can control your credit risk exposure. First, you can use approach of self-insurance, which means that you do not require any third party to cover your credit risk. And the second one is non-recourse factoring, which means that you can sell your account receivable from these overseas buyers to the bank at a discount, so you can pass on effectively all your credit risk to the banks. The third one is export credit insurance, which is the service provided by our corporation, and I will explain in more details in the coming few slides. Export credit insurance actually provide 4 major functions. The first one is protection. If you ship the products on credit terms such as OA, DA, DP, then if the buyer really did not pay due to bankruptcy or insolvency or just default, then the percentage of indemnity of the shipments can be up to 90%. And the second function is the credit management, because our corporation will obtain credit information from local credit agencies. We will obtain the financial figures, the background of the overseas buyers, and also their payment records recently. So we will obtain all this information from time to time and inform our exporters and policyholders about the latest development of the buyers. Thirdly, we provide receivable management service because we have connection with global debt collectors network all over the world. So if the Hong Kong exporter really have suffering from non-payment risk, then we can introduce some debt collectors for them to pursue the outstanding payment from the buyers. And we also share the debt pursuing expense up to 90% with our policyholders. Lastly is the financing, which is also a very key function, because after we issue the credit limits to our policyholder, they can use the credit limits as a pledge and collateral to obtain trade financing from banks. This is the contracts that we can cover. The first type of contracts you can see from the chart is the sales contract type 1, which is between a Hong Kong seller and an overseas buyers. The second type of sales contract is between a Hong Kong seller and a Hong Kong buyer, but which doesn't mean that we cover domestic sales, because the sales, if it is sold to a Hong Kong buyer, the goods should be eventually exported to overseas buyers. And the third type of sales contract we can cover is between this Hong Kong buyer and the overseas buyers. But except that if this Hong Kong buyer and overseas buyer, if it is a parent and subsidiary relation, then we cannot cover this intercompany transaction. Other than this, the sales contract can be covered normally. For the port of loading, because a sales contract signed between a Hong Kong seller and South American buyers may not necessarily be loaded in Hong Kong. The shipments can be loaded either in Hong Kong or in other countries such as Thailand, China. We can also provide the credit insurance cover. Lastly, it is the extended cover that we launched just in this year. Before we just covered the sales contract between our policyholder, which is a registered company in Hong Kong. But now we can extend our cover to the Hong Kong company's wholly owned subsidiary overseas. For example, if the Hong Kong policyholders has a subsidiary in Thailand, then if the Thailand company, the Thailand subsidiary signed a sales contract with a South American buyer, we can also cover this sales contract. Let's come to the end of my presentation. If you have further query about the service of our corporation, you are welcome to visit our company website www.hkecic.com, or you can call our hotline. Thank you very much.